Why don't we start with you saying what you've been doing lately with your present, what work you've been doing right now, just as an introduction before we get into anything else. How about that?
Okay, well, as you know that I was in politics. I was elected to the parliament twice. I was a state minister for home. I come from a political family. As many of you know, my father was the first prime minister of Bangladesh. He had the privilege of leading our war of liberation for 9 months. My mother was active in politics. She dedicated her life for democracy and women's rights. I myself got sucked into it, and I was a member of parliament twice, and I held the position of state minister home, from which position I eventually resigned due to some issues, which hopefully we'll discuss later. And after my retirement from politics, I was faced with a very hard question. What do I do with my life now? As I didn't have millions of dollars stashed away in the Cayman Islands or in the Swiss banks, I came to the conclusion that I had to make an honest living in the future. So I'm the type of person who just doesn't do something just for survival. I mean, I need to have passion in what I do. So I was basically really tearing my hair out, trying to find out what I should do next. I actually got the lead from my friends and family. These friends and family members over time, they used to get advice from me regarding health issues. So some people had gastrointestinal problems, other health issues. Someone wanted to lose weight. So I would advise them on how to, manage their diet, nutrition, sleep patterns, stress management, and of course, obviously, workout and exercise. So many of them who followed my advice got really good results. So these are the friends and family who suggested that, hey, you're so much into this and you have so much passion in this. Why don't you see if you can do something in this field in Bangladesh? And it was an aha moment for me because, when I was thinking about what I should do in the future, I had always two things in my mind, two conditions. That first, whatever I do in the future, whatever work I do should be positive for people and should in no way harm or hurt others. And the second was if I could do that in my own country, in my birthplace. So
Soel, we can't hear you all of a sudden.
my account all of a sudden was locked, and now I'm trying to unlock. Yeah, okay. Using the arrows, move the person to the indicated seat. Okay.
That's excellent.
All right. Yeah, bear with me for a moment.
No worries. No worries.
Seat X. Okay, he's already on seat X. I don't know what they want me to do.
You can just continue. It's fine. I don't think you have to worry about that. You can.
Oh, are you sure? Because yeah.
Yeah.
All
Go
right.
ahead.
You've proven you're a human. Gee, thanks.
Good one.
Okay. All right. So yeah. So I don't know what's going on still because it's a blank screen. Okay. But as long as you can hear me.
Yes, we can all hear you.
Okay. So, that was an aha moment for me because I realized that when I was in politics, I actually went to every part of Bangladesh, right? I went to the villages. I had the opportunity to meet people from all spheres of life. And when I went to the villages, I noticed that a farmer who was working from morning till evening, Yeah, they're working morning to evening, 70, 80 years old, and they're absolutely fit with a six-pack body, right? But in their home, their children were suffering from diseases like, high cholesterol, hormonal issues like, cardiovascular disease, fatty liver disease, kidney disease, diabetes, and things of that nature. So the aha moment was, I realized that, wait a second. So this is due to the change in lifestyle. And Bangladesh, just as the rest of the world, has transitioned from active lifestyle, that is like agriculture-based lifestyle, to a more sedentary lifestyle, which we call the modern lifestyle, right? We wake up in the morning, we sit in a car, go to office or school or university, we sit all day, right? And we are not physically active anymore, and we are consuming more than we spend. So what's happening is, internally, our hormones are out of whack. Our entire system ceases to function. Basically, when we eat food, our food is digested and absorbed, and the energy, glucose, and the amino acids, the protein, goes to our cell, it rebuilds itself, and then uses the glucose as energy, ATP, right? So that's our metabolism. But since we are inactive and over-consuming calories or energy, this process is being hampered. It's akin to, say, if you take a modern Mercedes-Benz and you start feeding it kerosene, right? It's not going to function that well. So this is the root cause of most of the diseases that exist today, according to experts, including, all kinds of non-communicable diseases, where 60% of the people in Bangladesh die from non-communicable diseases, and that's a huge number, 900,000. So literally 900,000 people die every year from preventable diseases, because these diseases are due to lifestyle choices, which include nutrition, lack of physical activity, improper nutrition, lack of physical activity, and lack of stress management and poor sleep. The combination of these three is creating this fertile ground for metabolic disorders. And the king of metabolic disorders is type 2 diabetes. So basically, then the aha moment was that, wait, so there is a lack of awareness among the population, because the latest census now shows us that in Bangladesh, about 40 to 45% of the people are city-based or Mofosol-based, right? So that means if we have a population of, say, 16, 17 crore, so almost 4 to 5 crore people or 6 crore people are in this sedentary lifestyle bubble, right? So it's a huge percentage of the population. And that explains why in Dhaka, if you go from one area, one part of the city to another part, you will encounter dozens of hospitals, hundreds of pharmacies, so people are getting sick. So that's when I decided that, hey, I have experience, I have knowledge, and I have ideas on how to maybe, create awareness. So I came back to Bangladesh. I created a TV show which was called Hotline Commando. It was aimed at, pointing out social issues and how to solve them. Then I used my social media presence to create awareness about health and fitness. And then I established a health center, Inspire Fitness, where I firsthand I interact with my members and I guide them individually, basically. So that's giving me fulfillment, because my main mantra was that if I could do whatever I do in my country, and if my work didn't hurt anyone, but if I can help someone change their lives, imagine that. That's the greatest satisfaction that anyone can have, right? So I am right now in this fulfilling line of work where I'm helping people change their lives for the better, presenting them or showing them the way to find good health, because health is the foundation of everything. Remember, we all may have 1,000 problems until we have a health problem. Then we have only one problem. So that is the way I think. And yeah, so that's what I'm doing currently. I'm sorry I gave
Great,
such a
thank you,
long
sir.
answer, but that's
No,
what
no.
I'm doing.
Right. So let's get back to a point in your life that I thought it would be a good question, because everybody we changed the topic of the show today because it was like everybody was requesting to know more about you. Especially, what is happening is the majority of our listeners here in X is a big chunk of the Gen Z, right? So
Right.
they have all these questions. Who is Sohel Taj? We want to know more about him, and there are some misconceptions. So then we asked a lot of people to write in, and I got a tremendous treasure trove of questions, literally. So then me and our team, we sat down and we filtered through these. So I wanted just that first thing to go off, because I basically I wanted everybody to know what you're doing right now. So now I would like to question you about what happened after 1/11. Okay, you had taken a break, your first break from politics, because we recall that you were in politics at that time, and then after 1/11, I think you were not in the country for a period of time, and then you decided to come back and join politics with a lot of energy. I mean, we were reading the papers and gossip and everything that Sohel Taj is a force to be reckoned with. Wow, he's got so much energy. And I remember some things that you said that, there will be a change in Bangladesh politics at that time. So everybody would like to know what was your thought at that time that made you come back? What were your feelings? I assume you had this very positive energy about Amu League, that, something great was about to happen. So could you tell us about what was in your mind at that time, what you were thinking? Thanks.
Okay, yeah, a little bit of background. I came back to Bangladesh in 1998, and I entered politics. Basically, I started from the grassroots. I went to my constituency. I worked with the people against all odds. I was able to secure a nomination because of popular demand. I contested the election in 2001, and my party at that time, Awami League, lost the election big time. So I was one of the few winning member of parliament at that time. But unfortunately, since the party lost the election, I was thrown into opposition politics, which was like trial by fire, basically. So I had to face Bangladesh style politics at its worst, basically, because the government at that time, that's our political culture, I guess. I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's true. At that time, we had similar atrocities, crossfire killings and extrajudicial killings, cases filed against people, the whole gambit that happens in Bangladesh all the time. That's the norm, right? That's our political culture. So I
Right.
had to face that. So that was kind of like my trial by fire phase, right? So I tried my best to exercise my democratic rights and the rights of my constituents. I believed in passive protest. So I was one of the first people in Bangladesh who introduced hunger strike as a political protest. I mean, I was the first member of parliament ever in Bangladesh, basically, who opted for a passive, basically non-violent approach, and I did that in front of the Jatiyo Press Club, right? So anyway, so that was my experience then, and obviously at the end of the BNP Jamaat government in 2006, there was again political turmoil, chaos, the usual, fighting between the two sides, and Then eventually the situation got out of control, and I believe the army stepped in. Now, this whole episode really broke my spirit. I mean, because I entered politics not to make money. I entered politics actually because I wanted to do something for this country. I wanted to do politics to serve the people. And when I saw the political culture, the violence, then the military taking over, my heart was broken. I was completely disillusioned, and I said, "That's it. I'm not going to deal with this anymore." So I left. I left Bangladesh. But a change came when, in 2008, the caretaker government at that time announced new elections, and Awami League and Sheikh Hasina introduced the election manifesto of Awami League. When I read the election manifesto, because you have to understand the situation at that time. People were fed up with everything that's happening. Now, an interesting point that I want to bring up here, it seems that every 15 years, something like this happens in Bangladesh. There's a 15-year turnaround. If you bear with me, in 1975, when Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman was killed, and up until the next election, that was in 1991, that's approximately 16 years. Then from 1991 to 2006 is again 15 years. From 2006, if we deduct the caretaker government, so 2009 to 2024 is 15 years. So it seems that the people can bear the torture for 15 years and then they rebel. So that's a interesting observation that
Interesting.
I made.
Right.
Yeah. As I was saying, so you have to understand the situation at that time. So people were fed up with the corruption. People were fed up with the political violence. People wanted change. And everyone realized that change means systemic change. You had to change the system. You had to strengthen the democratic institutions, right? So, voila, at that time, Awami League comes out with a revolutionary manifesto. It addresses everything that the people wanted, right? We talked about electoral reform. We talked about reforming the police, making it into a professional police force. We talked about a corruption-free Bangladesh. We talked about independent judiciary. So basically everything you need for good governance, right? So for a country to make progress, you need good governance. So we talked about good governance. So the manifesto mentioned independence of the judiciary, depoliticization of administration, and all the things that would make Bangladesh into a prosperous country, right? Because if you take away these hurdles, then we become unstoppable. So this completely inspired me. I said, oh my God, if this can be done, then this is going to be a new Bangladesh. This is going to be a Bangladesh that we fought for in 1971. Because remember, the student movement now, which was against inequality, right? It's the spirit is exactly what 71 was for. It was for equity. It was for equal rights. It was for democratic rights. It was for human rights, right? So all the fundamentals were there. So I was like, oh my God, okay. If I can be a part of it and be part of change, real, meaningful change, I will try again. Okay? So I was inspired. I was inspired by the manifesto, and I was inspired by Sheikh Hasina because she said she would do this. And I said, okay, I will contest again. And I ran for elections and I was elected again. And I wanted the Ministry of Home Affairs because I knew that for a prosperous Bangladesh to have systematic change, you needed to establish good governance. Okay? So you need good governance, and you cannot have good governance if you don't have rule of law. So you cannot have rule of law when your police and law enforcement agencies are the most corrupt. So you need to fix the law enforcement agencies. So I said, okay, I'm going to take this job and I will transform the police force into a professional, disciplined, corruption-free institution which will work for the people, right? I will make police in such a manner that if the police are posted in different ministries, yeah, you have allegations against a minister, a police officer will go and arrest that guy. Okay? So it doesn't matter what political background you have, what post you hold, you are corrupt, you're out of there, right? So that was my attitude. And I understand it's a long process. There has to be short-term, mid-term, long-term goals, but you have to set examples to do that. So I was all set on doing this. And I believe John is here today. John went to my office at that time. John, do you remember the Wheel of Progress?
Let me just bring John into the... Abir, can you pull John in?
Sure. Let me give him a
Great,
cinema
thanks.
request.
Okay, anyway, so John has been to my office because he was appointed at the US Embassy at that time. So I had a whiteboard in my office, and in the whiteboard I had drawn a wheel where it said, this is the wheel of progress and it needs a push. So basically what I'm saying is that we all need to contribute from where we are. So as a state minister for home, I would fix police and I would launch an anti-corruption drive where we would ensure there is no corruption. But to fight against corruption, you first must free the law enforcement agencies from corruption. So how do you do that? Well, you meet their minimum basic requirements and more. So my idea was, if I can make the police force or every member of the police force, make them like, for example, make sure they're not wanting in healthcare. They're not wanting in education for their children, right? They get enough salary to maintain an upper middle class status in society. Because I wanted a police officer to wear their uniform with pride as a servant of the people, as a servant of the country. And that would be their ultimate goal, right? They would wear that uniform with dignity and pride. So a police force like that could fight against corruption. So basically a sticks and carrots approach, right? If you do things right, everything's great. If you don't, then we give you the highest punishment possible, right? So that was my approach. And I went into it to change the country, that I would be part of change, a systemic change, not, it had to be a systemic change, right? So the department that I managed would play a key role in bringing about that change. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. And basically, there's a saying, a morning shows the day, because for this to happen, there had to be certain indications in the first 6 months. I saw none of them. Instead, I saw the same status quo or even worse. So
What do you think? The first couple of months were very good, or they had it all pre-planned and from day
no,
one just...
it was a sham. It was a sham. That's why if you have seen my interviews, I have said that Sheikh Hasina betrayed me, Sheikh Hasina betrayed Awami League, Sheikh Hasina betrayed Bangladesh. That's what I have been saying all
This
along.
is what your Gen Z supporters really need to understand, or not just supporters, but most of Gen Z, because there's been this 10 years that you've not been in politics. So they know you who you are, but they don't know all these things, your history, whatever you're saying.
And it's very interesting, Kawsar, because
Yeah,
I told the then Prime Minister that, look, do it right. Doing it right is going to be hard. It's going to take a longer time, but it's going to be long lasting. Don't do it to win elections. Do it to change the country. Maybe in the next election cycle, we won't win, but we will have set the standard so that the next party that comes to government, they must maintain that standard. And you will see that in the next election cycle, people will welcome you back. But no,
exactly.
this all went to deaf ears. This was not what she had in mind. Completely different approach.
So she had her own designs, and basically she
Yes,
manipulated you.
basically she lied. She
She
lied to
lied.
us.
Right.
She lied to everyone.
So this is what people should understand, that she absolutely lied. She showed you the golden dream for which you returned, and then it turned into a nightmare. I mean, that is the exact thing that happened with you and many others who, wanted to attach themselves with this new Bangladesh dream, right?
That's right. That's
Right.
right.
Okay. So can I just take a minute or just 10 seconds? I would like, because a lot of people apparently are having issues with their X app. Mine actually it just crashed and I had to restart my phone. And then we started the new link with the new space, right, a little while ago. So could everybody kindly share and ask your friends to join into this new link? Because apparently a lot of people are messaging us and saying, has it ended and stuff like that. And also, if anybody is new here, kindly please everybody share, follow one another. That would be really great. So at this moment, why don't we just let John have a few words?
Yeah, thanks, Kawsar, and thanks, Sohel. I'm actually driving, but I'm pulled off the road because I want not off the road, but I pulled off to speak. Sohel, I remember vividly. Well, I remember when we first met long ago when we were both very young. But I remember vividly that spirit of optimism that you referred to, and that hope that after the 2007-8 caretaker period, that the political class had learned its lesson and that Bangladesh would be governed differently, and the people of Bangladesh would finally get the government they deserved. And we were all excited by your appointment as State Minister of Home Affairs. I vividly remember sitting in your office and the wheel of progress and the whiteboards and the enthusiasm and the partnership between the United States and Bangladesh, that we all really thought this was an opportunity for Bangladesh, which at that point had a third start after 1971 and 1990, that finally in 2009 there would be a new start, there would be a new Bangladesh. And, again, I'm not going to tell your story. Your story is yours to tell. But as an outsider, I could sense that this conflict between what had motivated you to return to politics, to take on this responsibility, and the reality that you confronted. So, I applaud you for your honesty, and I applaud the positive vision that you continue to have to this day.
Thank you so much, John. Thank you.
So let me then go to the next question, which actually leads into this. And already a few people are, messaging me right now. So the two are linked. So let me put them both together. So my next question was, can you share the details of why you resigned the post from, as a state minister? Because not everybody every day resigns from such a powerful post, right? And does that basically this is the second part which I'm adding now, does that have anything to do with this betrayal that you spoke about today?
Yeah, thanks, Kausar. Well, I think not. It's not many people. I don't think anyone has ever resigned in Bangladesh. I'm the one and only up until now who resigned from his own accord, right? And yeah, so there were a number of issues behind my resignation. First of all, the betrayal. When I realized that this was all a sham, it was a lie, that none of this was going to take place. Because when I started to work, I found obstacles placed in my way. Officials working in my department were asked not to basically follow through with my instructions. Basically, the police force was instructed not to take instructions from me. I found that out, say, in April, May, at which point I said, that's enough. I have to go. Then there were other issues. I wanted to fight corruption, as I explained earlier. And I found that corruption was what was desired by the higher ups. So if I was the lone wolf in this struggle or this campaign, I would get myself in serious trouble. So that was the second issue. The third issue was the whole BDR massacre. During the BDR massacre, which happened in February 25th, the anniversary is coming up in a couple of days. I had traveled to the States because my daughter, at that time, she was very young. Her birthday was on the 19th. So I had promised her that I would be at her birthday because I was away for a long time. I had to leave the States in November, December for elections. So I had traveled to the US, and in the morning of the 25th, I got a call from one of my relatives who lives very close to Pilkhana. And they informed me that, there's gunfire going on. So when I heard that, I immediately called the IG of police, Inspector General of Police. I said, what's going on? The IG said that, there's something going on, there's shooting and so on and so forth. So as far as the standard operating procedure, if there are, hostage situations or situations similar to what happened in BDR, the standard operating procedure is to surround the entire perimeter of the place, right? You have to secure the perimeter so that no one within that area can escape. So basically, it's intended to send a very clear message to the perpetrators that whatever you do, you're not going to get out of here. So once you send that message, whatever their intent is, if their intent is to murder and kill, they might not do so when they know that there's no way out. So that's why it's designed like that. So I asked the IG that why don't you get the entire police force, RAB, if necessary, get Ansar members, if necessary, get all available forces and surround the entire complex. So the IG said, sir, I cannot do that. I said, why not? He's like, because the minister is here. So basically, he's letting me know that since my senior is there, he cannot take orders from me. So I'm like, okay, I'll talk to the minister. So I called the minister. I told her the exact same thing, that we need to surround this place. She said, well, I can't do anything. I said, why not? Because the prime minister is looking after it. I said, okay, I'll talk to the prime minister. I called the prime minister. I told her the exact same thing, that we need to surround the compound so that they are not allowed to leave. She just told me on my face, don't try to think too much sitting abroad. I'm handling it. So we all know what the outcome was after that. You negotiated with the killers. You allowed the killers to get away. So that raised a lot of doubts in my mind because this was not handled properly. And then when I came back on the 10th of March, on the 11th of March, we received orders that the investigation for the BDR massacre has been shifted from the Home Ministry. It has been transferred to Colonel retired Farooq Khan, who was the Commerce Minister, and all issues related to BDR would be handled by him. So basically, there was an information blackout. So none of us at the Home Ministry knew what was going on after that. No one asked us anything. No one.
You knew nothing. You knew nothing about
Nothing, because we were not allowed to see anything about BDR after that. So
Okay,
basically there were two investigations, I believe. Sorry?
Yeah, let me repeat this because people need to really understand, because there was so many questions regarding the BDR massacre. I mean, I think I got 40, 50 just on this. Because a lot of people think you know something and you're not sharing it. So can you just clearly flat out come out and say you knew nothing from A to Z, and this was like and the second part was this, what do you think? This was something spontaneous that happened? And then the latter, you don't know, everything was shut out and you knew nothing. There was, it was all a blackout. Can you clarify that?
That's why I explained it, that I was out of the country. As far as I was concerned, as a state minister for home who was not on soil, I tried my best to advise them about the correct procedure of how to tackle a situation like that. But my advice was not, it was disregarded because the prime minister handled it. Now, why she did that, we will have to get an answer from her.
Okay.
Then on the 10th of March, I returned from the States on the 10th of March. Like I said, on the 11th, we received orders that the investigation and all related activities will be handled by Colonel Retired Farooq Khan. Okay, so basically anything to do with BDR, we did not have any clue. What information, what investigation, who said what, we had no information regarding it. So as far as I'm concerned, when the massacre happened, I called. My advice or my suggestion was not taken. When I came back, the investigation was transferred from the Home Ministry, and why it was diverted or why it wasn't done in a proper manner, that's a question that needs to be placed to Colonel Farooq Khan. And he
Okay,
needs
but
to answer why the
well, let me-
investigation was not done properly. Now,
okay, that is the right. Sorry again, but that's the latter part, right? But everybody's saying a lot of conspiracy theories say, "Oh, this was planned by the AL," or blah blah blah. You know what I mean?
no, well,
So
I'm not going to get into the conspiracy theories. I mean, because I don't have any evidence. I can only
right,
say what was odd to me. So what was odd for me was it was standard operating procedure. When a incident like this happens, you're supposed to surround the compound so no one can escape. That wasn't done. You don't negotiate with murderers. You
right,
negotiated with murderers. Do you see my point? So
exactly,
I'm pointing out the odd, basically the things that I found odd about it. It was really, really odd. You do not negotiate with killers. What are you negotiating?
right. So
And then
from
you,
beginning to end, it's everything is locked out for you from beginning to end. You know nothing whether this is planned or unplanned.
absolutely, absolutely.
Right. So this is what people should know. This is the final. If everybody is listening, and please share this, that this is the final thing from Sohel Taj. He knew nothing from beginning to end. If there was a conspiracy, he didn't know. When he came back, he was blocked out from the investigation. So from beginning to end, he knows nothing about this.
Okay, so
Okay.
this was one. So basically, our fight against corruption was a sham, was a lie. Our promise
Mhm.
that we would make systematic or systemic change was a lie, because the law ministry started to function just as before. Cases were being withdrawn and cases were being filed against the opposition. So the same thing started, right? So
Right.
it was crystal clear to me that change would not happen. So I decided, since I came into politics and I took this position to help Bangladesh change, and that change would not happen, why should I occupy this chair? Why should I remain as a minister and just be there as a piece of decoration in someone's showcase? So I quit.
It would have been worse. You would have been the punching bag because
I would
everybody
have been,
would say,
yeah, it could have been many, many different things. I could have been killed.
right,
I could have been framed. I could have been, anything could have happened. Yeah.
right.
So
Okay, so
basically, I resigned and I had to leave the country because it wasn't safe for me to be here.
sad, very sad. Okay, so is there any, just I want to close this and then go on to something else, but there is any specific reason why you left? I mean, people talk about that slap and, all that nonsense. So we have heard, you
Okay,
say
no,
some
no,
things.
that's a diversionary tactic, because the
Okay.
issue I had was with Sheikh Hasina. But she didn't want the general public or Awami League supporters to know that I had the issue with her. So she created a red herring. That is Sheikh Salim. Okay?
Okay. So I'm
Okay, now hold
assuming,
on, hold on. Let me explain this.
argue for
Let,
all
let
the
me
time,
let me
right?
explain it a little bit. When I was home minister, state minister home, I witnessed how corruption takes place, right? So I witnessed
Yeah.
basically, in the police department, এটাকে বলে বদলি বাণিজ্য, transfer business, right? Transfer and appointment business. That's like a 50 crore taka business every month minimum, right? So the Sheikh family members were all involved in this. They were involved in all kinds of tender and procurement scams, right? They were involved in all of this. I saw it. And not only
Right.
them, all the ministers were. So I witnessed all this. So I was disgusted by it. And whereas we were supposed to fight corruption, we were given the green light to do corruption. I heard
Exactly.
her say, make money with two hands. I lost all respect for her the moment I heard that. And then she turns out to be a monster afterwards. But that's later in the story, isn't it?
Right.
But
Right.
yeah, so Sheikh Salim and the Sheikh family, they're all involved in corruption. Everybody knows that. And I witnessed it myself. So no one slapped me. No one would have the guts to slap me at
I
least.
don't think so.
They can do other stuff. They can harm me in other ways. Do you see? But
Yeah.
this was used by Sheikh Hasina to deflect as a red herring that, oh, okay, he had issues with Sheikh Salim and not with me. So that keeps her safe. So
Right.
she's a
Right.
master game player. So we have a lot to learn from her.
Oh yes. Oh yes. So this was basically the reason why you resigned. Then you withdrew your resignation once, and then I think you just flew away the next time and without talking to anybody because you thought,
No, I
So
didn't
that
withdraw my resignation. I gave my resignation to the Prime Minister on the 31st of May. I never withdrew
okay,
my resignation. So basically
okay,
then after I left, I called her from the US. I asked her that please issue the Gazette notification and, because she has to under the Constitution, right?
right,
It's ridiculous. I mean, under the
right,
Constitution, it clearly states that when a minister hands in the resignation, his resignation is considered done,
oh,
and the
yeah.
rest is formalities. So then on the phone, she started singing, that,
That's the famous
yeah, the famous
song.
song. Really, when I heard it, it was spine tingling, it was scary because a freaking prime minister of a country is singing a song that I will not let you go. I don't let anyone go. This is a threat.
Oh my God.
And it was scary. And believe it or not, she sang for over 5 minutes. It was not one line. She kept on repeating it like a broken record. And I was like, what? A prime minister of a country is singing to me that she will not let me go? I was offered everything. Basically, if I just shut up and come back, I would get a ministry, I would get a position in Army League. I was offered everything. I said, all I want is please let me go.
Go.
Yeah.
So somebody is asking a funny thing. What song was it? Was it?
Oh, do you want me to sing it for you?
Yes, please. Yes, please. Sorry, I'm going to
Okay,
make
it
that
went like
request.
it went like this. আমি তোমাকে ছাড়বো না, আমি কাউকে ছাড়ি না, আমি তোমাকে ছাড়বো না, আমি কাউকে ছাড়ি না. She went on like this for 5 minutes. And when she says that she's not going to let anyone go, there's a lot of meaning behind it. You must understand that.
It's scary. I would take it as
And as we have come to
yeah.
find out, she has used state machineries for personal use, for murder, for disappearances, for everything and anything, right? So now you
Yeah.
understand that was not a joke. It was a real threat.
So now coming to threats, I mean, can you tell everybody now what kind of threats you had then and what kind of threats you're having now against yourself?
Oh yeah, after I resigned, one of my nephews, he was picked up by the police. He was brutally tortured in Banani police station. My brother-in-law went to, rescue him. He heard the officer in charge talking to someone that, yeah, we got Sohel Taj's nephew. We are making sure he gets a good treatment, right? So,
Right.
yeah. So the case went to high court, a lot of things happened. Then, when I came to Bangladesh, I was, obviously followed by the state agencies. All that stuff happened, never felt secure. Anything could happen. You have goons everywhere. You had hired hoodlums who can come and do anything at any time, right? Then in 2019, my nephew got kidnapped and he was taken to Ainaghar for 11 days. I had to rescue him basically. So yeah, all these things happened. By the way, when my nephew was kidnapped and taken to the Ainaghar, after he was rescued or let go, basically, I did issue a statement that if this continues, then I will step in and I will, you know, try to expose everything. And after that, the instances of disappearances actually went down. But interestingly enough, none of the media after that ever came and asked us anything. No one wanted to know. And now we know why. Because the media was completely silenced. Media was intimidated. And they were bought out in some instances. So the media did not play their role that they were sworn to play, right, in a democracy. Yeah.
Right. So these 15 plus odd years that you since you resigned, so you have been literally under the sword, right? I mean, that's, I think, another thing that people should understand, that why you weren't able to speak out, some others did, but you are constantly under watch, under literal life threat. Is that correct?
That is correct. And some protection I did get was because of my father's image. That did
Okay.
provide some cover for me, and I'm thankful for that. Yeah. Otherwise, it was very scary. It was.
Okay, so this leads
I mean,
me to the,
can you imagine taking on the prime minister of one of the most corrupt countries in the world, who does not hesitate using state machineries for any and all reasons? So you must appreciate what I'm saying. This is scary.
yes,
So one day, if I disappear, and no one ever hears from me again, there's no accountability. No one will ever find out what happened to me, right? So
right, right.
we must understand that.
Right. So one thing. So are you still under threat from the Amu League side? These people, because I remember you. There was you made this statement, and you went and visited the Home Advisor.
Yeah. Okay. So look, what happened during the July-August mass uprising?
Right.
It shocked me. I mean, it absolutely horrified me, just like everyone else in Bangladesh, right? I
Okay.
mean, the massacre of young people. I mean, anyone with a conscience, they would be devastated by what happened, right? I mean,
Right.
this, I don't know what you would call it. I mean, a lot of people call Sheikh Hasina's rule as fascism, but for fascism,
Mhm.
you need to have an ideology, right? You have to have
It wasn't fascism. It just
so
sounds good.
I
Yeah.
think it was a combo of kleptocracy, mafiaism, and dynastical politics, right? These
Right.
three combined into a fusion. It's like a whole new monster that was created in Bangladesh, right? So this
Right.
monster did not care what it did to its people. It would eat and destroy anything in its path. And what it
Right.
wanted was power. So it held on to that power. So when the students, led this movement, what had happened is, remember the 15-year cycle I mentioned, right? People every
Mm-hmm.
15 years, they explode in Bangladesh. So the time was just right. So the boiling water was at a bursting point, and the students led the movement at that precise moment. So what had happened is, the political opposition, they were at a boiling point. The general public, they were at a boiling point. The massive
Right.
corruption, the killings, the disappearances, the tortures. So the general mass people all combined were at a boiling point. And when this happened on the students, the parents, the guardians, everybody came out, regardless of political background. I know
No, no, I was
many Awami League family members who went and joined the protests, right? So
right.
it was Awami League led monster, but it was by a select group of people that controlled Awami League. You must understand that. So it was the Sheikh family and its cronies that hijacked Awami League and hijacked Bangladesh and destroyed the country. So when the student uprising happened and this movement happened, I saw how Abu Said was murdered. I saw Mugdho getting shot. I saw the little child in the balcony get killed. So at that point, I could not control myself. And I had limited capability because I'm just an ordinary person living in a
Right.
very unstable environment. So I did give out a Facebook post. Then at one point when the student leaders were taken to DD office, that was the most farcical thing I've ever seen. So DB office, they took them there, then they made them give a false statement that they withdraw the movement, right? So
Right.
this just completely, it annoyed me so much because I knew what was happening. I knew how they manipulate these things. So I decided, look, as a person with a conscience, I need to do something. What can I do? What can I do? Okay, I have notoriety. People know me. And I was the state minister of home. So if I visit the DB office, it will make an impact, right? And if I can prove that this statement was given under duress or when they were under arrest, then it invalidates the statement, right? So I
Right.
went to the DB office. I met with Harun. And I asked him, why are they here? So he told me, oh, they're in safe custody. So I said, okay, if they're in safe custody, uh, did they ask you to take them in safe custody? He's like, no, we assumed that they needed safe custody. I said, well, that means you
Right.
arrested them. Because
Right.
if they didn't ask you, so I got it out of him that it was an arrest. So if it was an arrest, then the statements they made was under duress. It doesn't count. Then prior to that, if you remember, hundreds of people were being killed and Sheikh Hasina is standing in front of the metro rail and crying that, oh, look, everything is broken, right? I was like,
Right.
my God, where have we come? What has become of us? You are comparing destruction of property to the loss of life? One life is equal to more than 1,000 crore takas, right? So
I remember getting angry when she was
yeah,
showing that she
so
was.
basically I gave a statement
Right.
countering that. I said,
Yeah.
look, all these properties which have been destroyed, this is ours. It's not made with anyone's father's money. It's taxpayers' money. It's
Right.
ours. So we broke it. We will fix it. But if we lose one life, it's never going to come back. So you cannot compare destruction of property with the loss of life, right? So yeah, I
Right.
tried to contribute. I tried to help where I was, because when I took the stand on the 27th of July, there was no guarantee that this government would fall. So after, taking a stand, I left my fate to whatever may happen. And thank
That
God,
was very
5th August
risky what you
happened.
did. Yeah, that was very, very risky what you did. Right?
Yeah, and that's because of my conscience. I think anybody would have done that if they were in my
Right.
place, right?
So you've covered a couple of the questions that were going to be a follow up. So within that, I had one, because you spoke about it in certain YouTube or one of the TV shows, that how some of these newer ministers like Arafat, and we all assume that they're plants, right? They're just planted by Sheikh Hasina so that everybody would do their will. So was there a parallel power structure that she was using? Because obviously, politicians were no longer politicians, and nobody was, listening to the people what they wanted, right? So how was the power structure going on, and who was at the top? Like I have this assumption that there was literally a parallel, shadow government who was controlling all the politicians, and that was all at the whim of Sheikh Hasina. and maybe some other army general or somebody was controlling everybody. Is that somewhat true, or how would you
Look,
describe?
what is true is this became a client state. Okay, we became a client state of a neighbor, and she was appointed as the basically the queen of the client state, and she would serve their purpose, and they would help her remain in power, and she would get the license to do whatever she wants, and that's exactly what she did. So power was in her hands. Okay, she was in charge of everything. She managed everything. The advisors took advice from her. They didn't give her advice. Okay, so so she did everything. She was in charge, and the cronies were the yes men who were surrounding her, and whatever they would pick up on what she wants to hear, and that's what they would say, and that became the echo chamber within Awami League. So everyone repeated that. So it all emanated from her. So she is the queen bee in this situation.
But I wanted to understand, like all these Aina Ghors and everything. I mean, how much did the politicians know?
Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, basically, an agency ran the politics in Bangladesh. Okay, so
Okay.
political organizations were not basically run by politicians. Politicians were just showpieces. Okay, a presidium member in Awami League was nothing. A working committee member was nothing. They are just ornaments, okay? They had no say, no authority. I know. I've seen it from the inside. I know how this works. They are nothing. They have no value. They're just ornaments. They're just there to create a facade that there's a political party and it's functioning, right? So
Right.
MPs and ministers had to answer to this agency. The agency gave out political instructions on how to hold rallies and meetings and what to say and what not to say. And this all emanated, from that other side. You see what I'm saying? The agency controlled and
This
they
is
were
totally
appointed.
like a shadow government, right? The
It's,
actual government was the agency. That's what you're trying to explain, right?
yeah, kind of like that, and the tethers were held by someone else outside, right?
Right.
Yeah.
We're
So,
getting, we're getting the picture.
yeah. So I like to look at Bangladesh under Sheikh Hasina as a mini Russia. If you look at what Putin has done,
Right.
he has eliminated his political opponents. They keep falling from buildings, or Navalny is killed in
True.
jail, right? In Bangladesh,
Right.
political opponents disappeared or they died, right? Or they're
Yeah.
imprisoned or their cases filed. Okay, Putin has oligarchs who do the business for him, the mafia business. Bangladesh, she had oligarchs who ran the businesses for her, right?
Right.
You see the similarities? Okay. In Russia, the FSB runs the political parties. In Bangladesh, the agency runs the political parties. I mean, it's so similar that I would say someone took that formula and applied it in Bangladesh.
She's a fast learner. We know that.
Yes, she's smart.
So
One thing she's not stupid. Yeah.
very interestingly, when my son was back here for the summer, right, and he was he was starting college, so he came back to spend the summer, and then all this started. So we were at home. So every day we would watch these old, historical movies.
Mm-hmm.
So then one day we were watching Braveheart, and he's like, "Dad, is this like how Sheikh Hasina runs her empire? She buys like this, like the king is buying everybody off."
Yeah.
Right? I said, "You are correct. This is exactly how things are happening in Bangladesh right now." And then he's like, "Oh my God, I didn't realize it until I watched this movie."
Okay, Kawsar, another important thing I want to point out
Yeah.
is that there's some disinformation about the ammunition that was used during the protest.
Please share that with me.
Yeah, so Sheikh Hasina always will spray sprinkles of doubt in everything so that, it looks cloudy. She doesn't want a clear picture. So they introduced that military grade ammo was used, right? Have you heard that?
Yes,
Okay.
many times.
In the United Nations report, they also said military grade ammunition, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know who uses military grade ammunition in Bangladesh?
The
Police.
RAM?
Police.
Okay. Okay.
Because we say Chinese rifles, there is one type
Right.
of Chinese rifle, that's the SKS type 56. That's a Soviet SKS copy version made in China. That uses
Okay.
7.62 by 39 caliber ammunition. And that has a 5-round magazine, front loading, top loading magazine. So 5 rounds.
Right.
But the ammunition is 7.62 by 39, okay? Then you see the AK-47 style clone, that's called a Type 56 rifle. That also uses the same ammunition. So police already have that. So why is everyone making a big deal about military grade ammunition? It's readily available to the police now. Every police constable carries a SKS Type 56 rifle. They used to.
A majority of us don't know anything about, weapons and arms, but
Exactly, and
right, you are
because
self-taught
majority
today.
don't know, they throw these red herrings, So
Right, right.
people need to understand that yes, the 7.62 by 39 cartridge is a military grade ammunition, but it has been used by the police for the last 15-20 years.
That's a simple. I mean, if you know, then you know. Otherwise, they take people by the leash and just, move them around because
But the
we
point can be that
right.
why do the police have lethal ammunition? That is a
Exactly.
point of contention. But since
Right.
they have it, they used it. So there is no mystery
Exactly.
here. There's no
Okay.
mystery that there was like special equipped snipers who came. This is all rubbish. This is just to create a smokescreen and to confuse everyone.
No, to blame others. To
To
blame
blame
others.
others,
That.
exactly. So this is nonsense. So
Right.
police have this weapon and they do fire these rounds. And the question here is, who ordered them to fire live ammunition? Where did this order come from? Who gave the order to the commanding officer? And what is the chain of command that it came from, right? You will be
Right.
surprised to know that our prime minister had telephone numbers of local people. She would call them. I know personally. She called a lot of Chowdhury people that why aren't you going and shooting, right? So, and then she claims that,
Unbelievable.
I love everyone so much, right? What a
No, no.
hypocrite.
I was one day in Road 27 just moving with the kids, me and my wife Sheila, and then we could just see the Chhatur League boys coming and they started shooting, and then we sheltered in one of the grocery stores, was there for hours, and then, in the evening we got out.
She
So
would
I know
call
firsthand,
local leaders on her
yeah,
phone
how they were,
that why
yeah.
aren't you out there?
Right. And I couldn't believe that the students had guns and they were going to
And
shoot the other
a lot
students, and then
of police
it was
officers or a lot
unbelievable.
of constables refused to fire. And Jubo League, Chhatro League people would take their arms and fire with them. So that's what happened.
They were the ones who were shooting, police
Yeah.
at first. I remember vividly because, I would go around all that area because I was living in Lalmati at that time. Right now I still am. Anyway, so let's close that chapter and then should we go on to something new, like the government is now new, the interim government. So what are your thoughts on the interim government? How do you think it has performed now?
Okay, well, I mean, like everyone else, I had huge hopes that this government would take us in the right direction, and I still have that hope. I hope they're able to do it. I understand they're navigating a very tricky and very complicated political scenario right now, right? But they do need to focus on law and order because there is a lot of sabotage going on, and if you cannot take charge of law and order with a strong hand right now and things spiral out of control, people will lose confidence. So the reforms that we are looking for, that agenda will be shoved aside. We will have an early election and everything will be just as it was before.
No, we
So
cannot go that.
yeah, so
Cannot
that
go.
is a real risk right now. So the government has to clamp down on law and order. They must ensure security and safety for the normal citizens because you must understand there are many elements spending a huge amount of money to create disorder and crime and chaos within the country, right? So the government needs to wake up and take concrete measures to take law and order under control.
So
And
I was talking to some government, mid-tier people today, just before, the conversation started, because now a lot of people reach out to me and I also reach out to them to get a feel, so that we could have a proper discussion today and going forward, right? So somebody was telling me that it's just not the home ministry, that there's another ministry, I forget, the one that selects all the officers, right? So it's just not that, who's choosing the district level commissioners and stuff like that, that they also are not doing a good job. What do you
সংস্থাপন মন্ত্রণালয়.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. The name, I just missed out on the name. So do you think it just isn't the home ministry? Because the other aspects that are doing very well, like the finance and all that. So what do you think? Because I also hear a lot of people.
I think Dr. Yunus needs to step up. He needs
Okay.
to step up, and he needs to be firmer. He needs to step up and say, we are moving ahead with this and we will do the reforms. So, Tomar, look, leadership doesn't come from just willy-welling around. You have to be determined. You must have a vision. He must tell us, look, let's see, we can go there. You see that? That's where we want to go. And I will take you there. Come with me. That's leadership. He needs to do that. He needs to step up.
But don't you think he also needs strong leaders? I mean, it just can't be him, right?
Well, you see, it's difficult for him because he doesn't have
Yeah,
a political platform, right? Or he doesn't
right.
have an
That is,
organization. So basically, he's running on his good name, right? I mean, we
right.
trust him, and he brought us fame and recognition. So that's what his asset is right now. I mean, that's his capital. So,
Yeah,
but
but for example, if the home ministry is not strong enough, right? So how are things going to happen? I mean, there has to be some, like I was doing a joke the other day. I made an AI image of Dr. Yunus as Yoda, right?
hmm,
And the rest of us are like Luke Skywalker and all that. But Yoda has to have his Luke Skywalkers, right? So
hmm.
don't you think that is a better, example that he needs? It just can't be him anymore because he's fighting in so many fronts.
Yeah, it's a difficult situation. It's a difficult situation. I do wish the political parties would also step up and
Right.
step up for the country, and they would have an attitude that, hey, let's be patient, let's do the reforms correctly, so that there is a stage set, and then we can improve it after we are elected. But let the stage be made first. I wish that we would have that mentality, but unfortunately, Kawsar, I'm sorry to tell you, we don't. So
No.
yeah. So
So
if you ask me, I don't know what's going to happen, but we can hope for the best.
right.
Um, Too many
So
variables.
you are very solidly in the group that wants the reform to happen and then the election. So let it
Yes.
be 1 year or a year and a half, it doesn't matter, right?
Yes. I want concrete reforms to take place, which will set
Okay,
the stage and standard for future elections and everything else. Yeah.
great, great to know.
Yeah. And
So have you read any of the reform proposals till date that have come out, or you haven't had that?
in passing, yeah, in passing, but yeah, I have not been impressed so far. No.
Okay, right, right. So then we'll skip that because. So what do you? Okay, let's go to the next question, which is a bit. This will be very polarizing. So, what do you think about the events that happened in Road 32, and the breaking and also the breaking of the Sheikh Mujib statues? What are your personal feelings about that?
Okay, well, I mean, look, first thing, you must acknowledge what is a fact. What's true and what happened. We should acknowledge it. Our liberation war, our independence. It was the will of the people. It was the desire of the people. So before 1971, while we were part of Pakistan, we were suppressed and oppressed by the West Pakistanis. There was inequality in every sphere, right? We were deprived.
Right.
And we were a colony, and the people of East Pakistan wanted to be free from that. I mean, that's a fact. It's a historical fact.
Yes.
And this desire to be free, right, led to our independence movement. And every movement needs a symbol. And Sheikh Mujibur Rahman at that time was the symbol of the desire of the people. So now you see, I have a problem when someone says it's such and such person's vision and ideology. I'm like, wait, what about the people? Don't the people count for anything?
Right.
Without the people, could you do anything? No. It was the people's desire to free themselves from colonial rule of the West Pakistanis, and therefore the movement started, and you needed a symbol. It so happened that it was Sheikh Mujibur Rahman at that time, right? But during
Right.
the Liberation War, he wasn't even there. So his role up to 71 is that he was the symbol of our movement, right? So
Right.
after his return from Pakistan, the evaluation would be, you should do a separate evaluation of how he ran the country from 72 until his death. Correct?
Correct.
That's a separate evaluation. Okay. I'm not going to judge. I'm just letting it out there. All right. So now he is the symbol. That's undeniable. Now, based on his image and hijacking the movement of the people and making it one party's was the work of Sheikh Hasina. She hijacked the people's movement, and she hijacked her father's image, and then she created this monster that ruled us for the last 10, 15 years, right? So the
Right.
symbol of this monstrosity was her father's symbol. So when road number 32 was broken, that is tragic. That's a historical house. I am saddened by it. But it was Sheikh Hasina's doing. Do you see where I'm coming from?
Yes. So I exactly, because I have the same feeling, because 71 was and always will be in the history of Bangladesh. I mean, you cannot deny, your father. That's it. I mean, and then if your father becomes a bad father and becomes a drunkard later on and ruins your life, that's a different thing. But your father is your
But
father.
your father is still the father. Exactly.
Exactly. That's my feeling.
Yeah.
My personal.
And when it
Right.
comes to the birth of a country, you
Right.
must acknowledge your birth. And our birth is 1971. You cannot
Right.
disregard that, right? You cannot
No.
disregard our liberation war. That is our glory. That is the source of our pride, right? A young generation should get pride from that. We fought valiantly during our liberation war. Our military, our Mukti Bahini, they fought valiantly, right? So
Right.
very few countries have actually fought and got their independence, right? And at that time, you also have to understand, we had a good leadership that led our liberation war, because the 9 months we had to maneuver in the international stage, right? There were refugees, about 10 million refugees. We had to arm and train our freedom fighters. So at that time, the government did a wonderful job of taking help from friends, but ensuring that it was based on equal terms. And matter of fact, my father, when he was leaving India after our liberation, after 16 December, the head of BSF, I forget his name, he told my father that, okay, now that Bangladesh is free, India and Bangladesh will have eternal friendship. My father turned around and said to his face, as only as equals. So basically the BSF chief wrote in his book that we were surprised and we had respect for him, that even though he managed and led the war from our soil, he had the dignity and pride to tell us that only as equals, right? So he never
Fantastic. Fantastic.
lowered the image of Bangladesh. But unfortunately, we were not able to continue with that after 1972. Yeah.
Understand. So when the students say something against, the liberation, it you do feel about it, right?
Of course. I mean, the students need to look a little bit deeper. What they're
Right.
fighting for today is exactly what we fought for in 1971. The spirit is exactly the same. And
Right.
and today's movement is a reflection of the needs and wants of the people of 1971. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Very nicely put. Very nicely put. So what do you think now that we are hearing that there'll be a new student-led political party? What do you think? What do you think about that? Is that a smart move by them under the overall situation?
Well, I mean, the only thing I can say is that if the students want to form a political party, that's fine. I mean, uh,
Right.
maybe that's what we need, but they will have my support as long as they can keep um, with their stated goals of reforms, of making Bangladesh into a prosperous country, corruption-free country. If they can keep themselves above corruption, if they can, lead with maturity, if they can lead with substance, um if they can eradicate and erase the horrible political culture that we have, and uh, work for democracy and shine the light of democracy, yeah, I would welcome them, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, you always spoke about how Bangladesh, the politics was not ready for somebody like you, right? But do you think that kind of foundation is now being set up, or it still
Look,
remains to be?
okay, I have a
Right.
problem with this because I myself, I don't believe in dynastic politics. I don't
Right.
believe that because my father was such and such, I should be such and such, right? I don't believe in that.
Oh, you
Uh,
are who you are, right? You are who you are.
yeah,
We all know.
yeah, that's my identity. But I would really like the new generation to take charge of their own country, right?
Right.
Take it, and lead it. Come on now, go take your country and build it, make it into a great country. Come on, you can do it. That's how I feel,
Right.
right? Don't
Yeah.
rely on, oh my God, oh muke korbe, this son,
No.
whose son?
No.
No, you do it.
No. Right.
Everyone step up.
Because that's basically why I am doing what I am doing today.
Yeah.
Because I've had enough of these, other people, hoping that other people will do things for us. So a lot of people call me and say, why are you, I said, look, I don't care anymore. I have to do it for my country.
But look, one
Right.
condition, you must keep your purity. Do not
Yes,
lose
the
your
idealism
purity.
has to be there. Because I will not indulge anybody who is not idealistic about the vision and the mission of BD 2.0. If anybody strays from that path, then bye
Right.
bye.
And the same message goes to the students and the next generation. Keep your
Right.
purity. Don't lose it, because that's your best asset. Be pure in your intentions. Keep yourself pure. Don't lose that purity, and build your country.
So beautifully said. This is something everybody should understand, that you have never strayed away from your idealism that you had from day one till today. You uphold that same idealism, and that is all. Everything distills down to that one beautiful word, which is purity. That's just beautifully put. So I'm
Thank you.
just
Thank
this
you.
is so. The next question: what do you think right now, because of the nature you're saying, the government is so weak from inside, that this Islamist radicals are somehow taking over? I mean, because that's the complaint always from, the Indian, media and the bots. What do you personally think? What's going on actually there?
Well, I mean, again, remember that a country like Bangladesh, we are surrounded on three sides by our much, much larger neighbor and more powerful neighbor. So we must also take into account what they want, and then understanding that would give us the material to work with, right? And how to
Mm-hmm.
withstand such pressure, because it is tremendous pressure to live next to a big neighbor. Like ask
Right.
Mexico, they know.
Mm.
So, but, but, I think a lot of this is also manufactured to create an image that this is a highly unstable place with radicalism and terrorism and fundamentalism. So,
Mm-hmm.
but here the government again needs to step up. I mean, touching on my earlier point, that law and order. So government has to step up and make sure that this type of propaganda, or if someone has ulterior motives, if someone is promoting these actions, they need to be able to catch it. The intelligence agencies need to be more vigilant. We need to take stock of what's happening. And again, maintain law and order. I mean, this could be very well be initiatives coming from outside.
Okay, well put, well put. So I want to talk a little bit about the BNP now. So the moves that they're kind of making right now, and about, do you really think BNP will be able to reinvent themselves? Because, the BNP and Namuli have always been the other side of the coin, right? And I don't think Gen Z is really into them. So what do you think about these 2 points regarding BNP?
Well, I would really, really hope that BNP takes stock of things. They look deep inside themselves. They become they reflect on the situation, because it's a great opportunity for them, as well as an opportunity for them to really shine, or an opportunity for really to self-destruct, right? So which path will
Right.
BNP take? I really hope they take the right path for the sake of Bangladesh, right? So that they are for reforms. I hope they are for a change that will bring, systemic change that will ensure justice for everyone. It will ensure a corruption-free society, right? Where we don't have to bribe people to get things done, right? Where administration will be politicization free. We will be able to move ahead. We will be able to take care of the poor, healthcare, decentralize, instead of focusing on Dhaka, decentralized. So so many things that can be done, and BNP can play a very big role in that, right? So I do hope they go into positive politics. That's a hope. I hope they do that. What was your other question?
But okay, let me rephrase it. Do you think, like, the kind of sounds that are coming out of BNP? Because, like, again, a lot of people reach out to me, and I'm doing, and now I can engage with people because of the platform I have. But I don't like, personally. I get this feeling that they're like trying to engage a bit more with India, which right at this moment I don't think is a good idea. So what kind of vibes are you getting? And it's again assumption. We don't know what's going on, right?
Hmm.
And do you think they're taking? I mean, based on the assumptions, do you think these will be correct moves, or I mean, what's your what do you think is going on in the game?
Well, I think we do need to maintain relations with India. That's unavoidable because we are
Okay.
neighbors, right?
Okay.
But what kind of relationship we have can be determined by how we deal with India, right? What I'm trying to say here is we have to be clear on what we expect from them and what they can expect from us, right? Because we had 15 years of sellout. So India also needs to take a step back and understand that how they need to understand the pulse of the general people of Bangladesh. Okay?
Right.
The
Right.
general people of Bangladesh, we all want to live in peace, but we above all take pride in our dignity, right?
Right.
Okay? So no one wants to be humiliated. No one likes a big brother telling us what to do. So India needs to take stock of that. And they need to understand that the days that they dictated are over. So BNP, on the other hand, must be in a position to convey this message to India. That yes, we are neighbors and we have to deal with each other. But how we deal with each other depends on you as well, right? So this has to be part of a hard diplomacy for Bangladesh. But that, yeah.
I keep coming back to your father's great words that you just spoke. He told the general that as equal friends, right?
Yeah.
That's how it should look into it always.
Exactly. And we should not be afraid. What are we afraid of? No.
Right.
I don't care
Right.
if it's India or Pakistan. As long as they, as long as we can keep our end of the bargain, and they keep their end of the bargain, and we are not the losers, and it's a fair deal. It doesn't matter if it's Pakistan or India. We are friends with everyone, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah, but Pakistan needs to apologize first, though. And India needs to know they helped us doesn't mean that we have become their slaves, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So see,
Right.
this has to be done diplomatically, right? And you can only do that if you have a strong base, like, if you have your democracy, the foundation set. But we are not there yet, so it's going to be a difficult task.
I'm so glad, Soel, that you've come on and you're taking these tough questions. So this is gonna be, I think, I think so many thousands and thousands of people are gonna eventually listen to this, and I really appreciate you coming in like this and taking them.
Yeah,
So
it's my pleasure.
thank you, So I'm going to ask you, because the list of people send me is unbelievably long. You cannot imagine.
Yeah, and I'm not a politician. I'm a fitness and health activist.
So I am going to ask you maybe 2 or 3 more questions, real quick, which will be relating to Amu League and its future. And then I will open for several questions because so many people wanting to ask you. Right.
Okay.
So now I will start with basically, so you're saying you retired. So are you thinking of ever coming back under this scenario? Do you ever think that you'll come back into politics? I mean, what do you think?
At the moment, I am very satisfied with what I'm doing. I am doing something very fulfilling. I am helping people change their lives, and I'm very happy where I am right now.
So there is no but, what ifs, or anything like that?
Not at the moment, no.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure, yes.
Okay. So you're sure you're not coming back to politics anytime soon?
No, but I will be vocal. I will express myself. I will have opinions. I will say what I feel like. Yeah.
Right. That's good
We
to
live
know.
in a free society now, right?
Right. Totally. So what do you think about now? What's going to say Amuli could be banned, right? So it might not be banned. So what are if it's banned, what do you think will happen? And if it's not banned, the 2 questions I'm putting together. And if it's not banned, then do you think there will be a resurgence of the Amu League with maybe new people? What do you foresee?
Okay,
Because you can see the
look,
picture that
here's the thing. Mass murder took place in July, August, right? Over 1,500 people were killed. 600 people are blind today. Thousands of people are handicapped. Okay? This is not going to go away. I
No.
have been asking Awami League, listen, look at what has happened for the last 10, 12, 15 years. Okay, the massive corruption, over $150 billion have been siphoned off, right, through corruption. Hundreds, if thousands of people have been murdered, hundreds have disappeared. Political repression, oppression, right?
Right.
Destruction of a country by a family. Destruction of a political party by a family. Wake up, I told them. Wake up, look at what has been done in your name, have some, what do you call it? Realization of the enormity of what has happened. It's not going to go away. I have been warning them for the last 6 months. If you go to my Facebook page, I have actually put special note and I have said it repeatedly that look, you need, আমি বাংলায় বলছি, you need আত্মসমালোচনা, আত্ম-উপলব্ধি এবং অনুশোচনা, right? Help me someone. আত্ম-উপলব্ধি, self-realization, then কি বলে ওটাকে?
Self-criticism.
Self-criticism, অনুতপ্ত হওয়া, and redeem yourself and acknowledge what has happened in your name and apologize to the nation. I've been saying that for 6 months. Have you heard one Aumi League leader say sorry? Have you heard one? Except
No.
me. I'm the one who's blabbing all the time. Sorry, right? No one has said, no one has acknowledged what has happened. No one has expressed any remorse. Instead, they're saying that Yunus committed genocide. Have you heard that? Right?
All the time, every
this is
day.
total psychopathy, right? Psychopaths do that. Projecting. So, then they're saying, 30,000 policemen were killed. So they're just throwing numbers to muddle and confuse everyone. Shameless, shameless. So instead of acknowledging what has been done in their name, instead of having remorse and apologizing, they're projecting, right?
Right.
Okay. So now the United Nations report comes out. So the United Nations report now certifies her as the perpetrator of murder, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Awami League people need to understand and realize this is not going to go away. Sheikh Hasina is not coming back. But she is messaging in a way that she's giving hope every day. So a lot of Awami League people are actually afraid of saying anything. So I've asked a few of them. I'm like, why? Don't you have a conscience? Didn't you see the things that I saw and everyone else saw on TV?
Right.
Why aren't you saying anything? They say, well, Sheikh Hasina might come back. I'm like, okay, even if Sheikh Hasina comes back, have you sold yourself and have you sold your soul? Don't you see what is wrong or right? They don't. So I don't know what to say to this. I don't know what will happen to Awami League. Because this is not the Awami League that led our liberation war, you know? This is not the Awami League that led our independence movement. This is a group of mafia people who are just there to make money and that's it, and destroy the country.
I actually a couple of weeks ago I wrote this long post how I made an analogy of that the Awami League is like a syndicate.
Yeah, it
right?
is
Like
a syndicate, the mafia syndicate, with a
like
bit
you
of
do
kleptocracy, bit of mafia, bit of family dynasty. Yep.
Right.
A bit of
So,
murder, bit of disappearance, bit of everything. This is a monster.
right. So, Swell, I will end my questions for you here, as because there are quite a few people who want to really ask you
Oh,
themselves.
there are more questions. Good
A
riddance.
couple more.
Oh my God.
Actually, now what we're going to do is we're going to have a few of our listeners actually ask you, right? So, few, because there were so many people want to interact. So, just a few, and then, we can close that after that. So, Abir, who is first in the questions?
So I don't have any current requests, but there are specific questions in the chat, and I can list out one very quickly. So, Alba, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So a lot of questions have been about Tulip Siddiq and her involvement. And right now there is an ongoing investigation about corruption in the UK. And with some of our partners in the UK, we are hearing a lot of things. So wanted to hear if you had some insights on Tulip Siddiqui and any of the allegations she's currently facing. Or the
Well,
charges.
I mean, look, the whole family is corrupt. Okay, this is so obvious. I mean, they have looted hundreds of millions of dollars to all over the world, right? They've siphoned this money. Tulip Siddiq, she receives an apartment as a gift. What does that mean? From who? So we all know it's a gift from a Awami League related businessman, right? So yeah, there is clear signs of corruption. Even Tulip, who lives in London, who grew up there, who's a member of parliament there, couldn't keep herself clean. Now imagine what the others are going to be like, right? I mean, you don't need to have much imagination on that. So
So a sorry about the interruption.
yeah,
Follow up question. There has been allegations about Army League's connection to the Labour Party, right? Specifically about, transfer of money, corruption in the Labour entity throughout various means. Are you aware of any of that? And I'm going to go to a couple other questions right after
okay,
that.
well,
Thank you.
I don't have any first-hand knowledge, but I have seen media reports, I have seen YouTubers talk about it, I've heard about this, and it doesn't surprise me because the Bangladeshi diaspora in England it's pretty large, right? So a lot of these constituencies, they have a lot of Bangladeshi voters, and so yeah, it doesn't surprise me. So and there have been this I know, there have been direct instructions to Bangladeshis there to help the Labour Party. Yes, and Awami Leaguers there have helped the Labour Party. That's a fact. So now, as far as the state of British politics, I mean, that's surprising, right?
Yeah, and I mean that's been a huge issue, and I would like to invite Tofal Rashid to follow up on that, and then after that we'll go to Shumon, Kaiser, and then Babar.
Okay.
And
Tofal
then
bhai,
there's
please,
also Zakir,
and
okay?
Zakir as well. Yes, sir.
And
Thank
then
you.
we could also find John.
Yeah, and if anyone else would like to request, please send your request, and we'll continue if we have however many we can. Thank you. Tofal bhai,
Yeah,
please.
thank you, Abir. Thank you, Kawsar. Just to follow up on that
That's
question.
fine.
So it's not, I'm not looking for conjecture, but given that you were on the inside of Awami League and therefore you observed a lot of things and you heard a lot of things, do you know practically how, for example, the money transferring or the corruption from state assets, sovereign wealth of Bangladesh gets into the UK? And following up from that, again, practically speaking, again, from what you might have observed or even what you hypothesize, how the Awami League influences the British Labour Party. If you don't know that, that's also fine. But I just wondered if you had any kind of fact or
Yeah, I mean,
policy on
about the
it.
money laundering, I think a lot of it is done, some of it is done through Hundi, and the other deals are made by multinational shell companies that are abroad. So money is transferred from, whatever commission is made, that commission part is sent to that shell company, and they have bank accounts in tax havens. That's one of the major ways that money is transferred, as far as I know. I don't, I cannot prove that, but that's my conjecture on that. Because we can guess because I was involved when I was minister. I think with the U.S. We had this money laundering. What was it called? I can't recall. Anyway, so there were mechanisms in place to track how these things are done. So I did get an idea, and then later I understood how it's done because they make shell companies. Then say for example, a company gets a contract for $100 million, right? So the work to be done, they will spend 50 million, and 50 million goes for commission. So that money is transferred to the shell company, and the shell company dumps it into the tax haven bank account. That's how most of the money has been transferred, if I'm not mistaken. And as far as the Labour Party being influenced, I don't have any direct knowledge, so it's better that I don't comment on that.
Thank you,
Thank you very
Tofal
much.
bhai.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's go to Shumon, Kaiser bhai, please. Shumon bhai,
Um,
you're on mute. Go ahead, please.
yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Shilbert, thank you for joining us. And I'm a big fan of you as a content creator. But I
Okay.
have two specific questions for this moment. Many of questions that already covered. So first question is that we know that the rule of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman before 1971, and we know that during 1971 war, what rule has M.A.G. Usmani and Tajuddin Ahmed had. And we saw that, as earlier you mentioned that Sheikh Hasina has been hijacked, our nation, whole nation wanted what it is. And do you think, do you support the idea of founding fathers instead of founding father? And another thing is that not just a question, just asking for a suggestion for our younger generation, specifically Gen Z, who actually learn history from the books that was actually banned, and what is your suggestion for them? Specifically, two suggestion gives us that we can build our dreams country. Thank you.
Okay, the first question, as far as founding father, so first mistake is it shouldn't be father of the nation, because nation really entails something different. It can be father of the country, but I'm more for father like uh, uh, founding fathers. That would actually be more appropriate for Bangladesh, because there were key figures who did contribute at key moments in our history, right? So just like in the US, George Washington, Jefferson, and so on and so forth. So we can have founding fathers, and each of them should be judged according to their contributions. And historians should be objective, and they should delve deep into their lives and bring out the essence of what each of them were and what their contribution was, so that the young generation can draw inspiration from different characters in our history, right? So that's one. I guess I covered both, right?
Yeah, Bob.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Thank you, Shon Bhai and Sohel Bhai.
I would like
Let's.
to add, Joel, I just want to add something that I keep writing in my text posts ever so frequently, that always I remind people that we have founding fathers. We have founding fathers. This was totally hijacked by the Hasina regime and made us, push this thing down our throats that no, there was just one man show. He took a sword and he won the war for us.
While he
So, okay.
wasn't even here during the war, yeah.
Exactly. He wasn't there.
Yeah.
So who's
All right.
next?
All right. The next person would be Babar. Babar, you can go ahead, please.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I have to start by saying I'm a little nervous because I'm a huge fan of Sohel sir.
Oh,
So
don't be nervous.
I hope you
Don't be
don't
nervous.
mind.
Just relax. It's okay.
So I just want to, before I ask my question, I just want to tell you that your energy and positivity, it's very contagious. I hope you stay active on X, and I'm sure, and your tweets, if you were to tweet on X
Oh my God,
on
I think I've
self-development
only
and life
tweeted
lessons.
once. So, and
Then you have
Yeah,
to
I
join
saw it.
our community and you have to post within our community
okay.
from now. You have to do that.
All right. You'll show
And
me
then you
how,
see
right,
how many
Kelsey?
million people join you
Yeah,
here.
yeah, you'll have to show me how. Yeah.
No problem. I'll
Okay.
come over and show you anytime.
All right.
Okay.
Please do, Kawsar Bhai, because I think if he were to tweet on self-development and life lessons, it would really benefit everyone, not just the
I'll
youths,
I'll go
everyone.
over in within the next 2-3 days and we'll sort it out.
Okay.
Okay, great. So as for my question, as the former Minister of Home Affairs, considering the current law and order situation in Bangladesh with mob attacks, shrine attacks, and extremism on the rise, what would you do to stabilize this sensitive situation in our country? And the follow-up question is, what do you think is stopping the interim government from doing so?
Okay. I think we missed a very big opportunity in the first 2 months of this administration. Someone should have stepped up, did new recruitments for police. The criteria would be to serve your country. Okay, that would be the slogan. All right, we want a corruption-free police force. This is our chance. Join in, come in, become law enforcing agents and serve your country. Increase the budget, give them good salaries, give them all the benefits necessary to place them in the upper middle class of society, give them dignity, give them respect, and they have to earn our respect and dignity. That's what I mean. Make them into prophet. We had the perfect opportunity to do that. I think we missed out on that. That's one. Now what we can do, we can still do it, but we need a dynamic approach. Okay, you cannot, like this is a force that who need to be inspired. Someone needs to say, okay, you will come, you will serve the people, you will lead, and we will fix this country with your help. A spirit, we need to raise this spirit. We could have hired young students, right? We could have hired thousands of young students, join the police force. This is going to be a dignified profession. We have to make police into a dignified profession, a professional force that people will want to join, not to be corrupt, not to make money, not to abuse power, but to serve your country, your community, your family, right? This is the approach we needed to take. We didn't, but we still have time. Someone can still do it.
Excellent answer. Excellent answer.
Excellent. Babar, did you have any follow-up on that? Are you okay?
So, I also asked about the shrine attacks. It's a very sensitive issue, and I know the interim government has issued a statement about it that they will prevent any further shrine attacks from
Well,
happening.
look,
But
preventing is in the future. What about the ones that have happened? Why aren't you bringing them to book? Why aren't you showing the people that, look, this is not going to be tolerated? Why haven't you done that? I think that's a mistake. So everything is, we will do it next time. What about what happened now? Why aren't we setting an example? Yeah, so my answer is, I think there needs to be more needs to be done, right? And we need to assure the public that things are being done, not what's going to be done in the future, but what has happened. Like, for example, the horrible incident with the bus a few days ago, right? The robbery and the rape in the bus. I mean, it should have immediately, action should be taken, not wait for the future. So little incidents like this creates a lot of insecurity within society, within communities. So we need to keep people, give them the sense of security. Because look, if you consider Maslow's hierarchy, I mean, the first thing is security, right? Food and security. So if you cannot give food and security, then the people will not be with you. So there will be no reforms. People will just say, just give elections. So you cannot afford to lose support now. So you must ensure security. You must take action on things that have happened. You set exemplary punishment, and you set the standard for the future. So if you see that, oh my God, if I do this, this is the punishment because it has been given already, that will deter occurrences in the future. Not just saying we will do this in the future, right? Yeah.
Thank you. That was a beautiful answer.
Thank you.
Really appreciate that.
Thank
All
you.
right. We are going next to Zakir Chowdhury, please.
Hi, Sohel. Again, I'm also a very huge fan of you. The only guy to step out of a position of minister, and for that I regarded you high all the time. So my question is about something that happened. I have actually two questions. Both of them happened within the last 1 week or so. So very recent things, and I would like to know your position on this. The first one is all 64 DCs and SPs who were there during the 2018 election. You know that the government has decided to punish them. A lot of them have been sent to forced retirement. Many of them have been made OSD, and the advisor said that he's gonna punish or sack all the 64 SPs. But just a little while ago, you said that yes, this government needs to be strong and take strong actions. So how does these two play together? What would have Sohel Taj done had he been the chief advisor? That was the first question.
Okay. The answer to that, I believe, I covered it in my previous answer. what needed to be done was a lost opportunity. What we should have done is recruited new, vibrant people with energy to change the country. So you needed to have leadership that would energize the youth, right? এবং ওই youth থেকে we should have formed a new police force. So I'm talking about a concept here. So that is what I would have worked for. But the situation is different now. So if from the perspective of how things are now, what I would have done, it's a difficult task. It's a difficult task to take the old things and rearrange them. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so it is a really difficult task. It's not going to be easy. That's why I keep saying that it still can be done. You can still recruit new people en masse and change the face of policing in Bangladesh. Something people have never seen before. A police force dedicated to the service of the nation. A police force that wears its uniform with pride and dignity, right? A police force that cannot be bribed. My God, that would change the country.
Of course, 100%. So, actually, whenever this thing I raised with the people around me, the answer that I got is you can recruit new people, but the DC or the SP, the guy who has already 20 years of experience, that you cannot actually get.
Okay, what you can do is you can re-educate and re-motivate the old people. Okay, you can. Once they know, okay, fine, whatever is the past is the past. Now this is our future. See, you point, that's our future. That's where we are going. Do you want to be a part of that journey? If you are, then you reform yourself. Trust me, 90% would want to serve the country. I'm guaranteeing you. If we ensure their livelihood, most of the police officers who have served for 10, 15, 20 years before, they will gladly contribute for the country. I believe that. Because each of us inside, we have goodness, okay? You just have to give them the opportunity to bring out the goodness.
Sohel, I also believe that. Thank you for the answer. So my second question was about the reform proposal from the Election Commission. They gave 10 points. Not all of them are very interesting. I just mentioned 4 points that I found very, very, very interesting, and I'd like to know your views about them. The first one is the tenure of the Prime Minister. How many times before she could be elected as many times as possible, but now they are saying that it will be restricted to twice only. So what's your take on this?
I think that's an excellent decision. I think I support that, yes.
All right. Then the same person cannot be Prime Minister, political party chief, and the leader of the parliament at the same time.
Oh yeah, all in all, right?
Okay. No, I also knew that. I just wanted your official version, Now,
yeah, look, I mean, look, we have lost the script. The script is supposed to be like this. Okay, you have a political party that has local branches, goes to the constituencies, goes to the villages, and the party workers who work for this party feel the pulse of the people, and then they convey the feelings and the pulse of the people to the higher platforms of the party. And it comes to the top position, top forums, then it's discussed that, okay, these are the needs of the people. How do we address the needs of the people? Then it goes to the policy formulation part of the party, right? And they create policy that, okay, if we come to power, we will implement these policies based on the feedback that we got from the grassroots. That's how a political party is supposed to function, right?
Yes, that's
But
democracy.
What do we see in Bangladesh? There is no semblance of this anywhere, right?
Yep, 100%.
Yeah, so you come to power. What policy? What pulse of the people? You just got power. You do whatever you want. Make money. Yeah. So I'm sorry. I just got lost in my own tirade.
No. We are all here to listen to your views. So please carry on. I mean, whatever you want to do.
Yeah. So we have made a mockery of democracy. We have made it into a facade, and it's just a showpiece. We just show people that, okay, this is a political party, so-and-so leaders and blah, blah, blah. But nothing is being done for the people. It's a facade. It's a made up. These are ornaments. The party leaders, they know nothing. We are dictated by one person on the top, and their desire emanates down instead of emanating upwards. It's emanating downwards, right? So corruption has been encouraged in all levels, so that if you're corrupt, then you'll have to listen to me, because I'm tracking you as well. So I'm allowing you to do corruption, and then I am keeping track on your corruption. So if you defy me, now I can blackmail you, basically. So you are hostage to me. So you're hostage to the top leader. Okay? So that's
So a little bit of corruption at first, like a white lie, and then it just grows like a cancer, right?
exactly.
Okay.
And Section 70 of our Constitution actually enables all of that.
Yeah, and you cannot vote. So when I first went to Parliament, I was so excited. I said, "Oh, okay. Now I'll propose some bills. I'm gonna say I'll vote yes or no." And then my friend Ashraf Bhai, he's like, "Sohel, you can't do that." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, you you can't vote against your party." I'm like, "Why not? Then what is the Parliament for?" And then I see, okay, we're just rubber stamps. It's like all being decided, and then it's spoken through in the party platform, in the parliamentary committee, and we are all saying yes, 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 and then yes, 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 and it passes. So that's democracy right now. So yeah, I would prefer to have a system where we can vote with our conscience, but that again creates a field for corruption, because you can be bought out, right?
Oh, yes.
So we have to ensure that the first, the roots of democracy take hold first, and then we can, yeah, I would support it if we can have the roots of democracy planted firmly.
All
Okay,
right.
now,
So the next,
Captain, or how do you pronounce that? I don't know. I was listening to his wonderful space the other day that really made me laugh. So would you come on, and then we'll allow the other speakers next?
Yeah.
all right,
Yeah.
So,
I'm signing off.
Thanks. Thanks, Zakir.
Yeah. Satyakal, thanks for bringing me up. Thanks for attending the space the other day. So I have a question that came up actually after that space. I'd been thinking about, the Bangladesh freedom movement, the interim government, and the lessons for, Khalistan supporters like myself. And one of the questions that, I thought of that I didn't get to bring up during the space was, and I want to thank Tofo and Akunji and John for attending. That was excellent. That all the information they provided. But the question I had was, how is the interim government integrating people that are in the diaspora that want to help Bangladesh go to that next level to develop its systems, its policies, procedures, and how it's going to actually serve the people? Like how are diaspora individuals being integrated, or are they being integrated, and what are the challenges that might be faced in doing so?
Is this for me?
Yeah, it would be for you or anyone
Uh,
else on the panel who's
well,
able to.
I don't think I'm qualified to answer this, because I'm not informed on this topic. So I would leave it to someone else to answer that.
so, Kaptan, there are multiple initiatives, both from the diaspora as well as from Bangladesh, to connect. So I think one of the main areas is with policy support, as well as to provide guidance for a lot of these reforms that's happening. For instance, right now, the constitutional reforms are being led by a Bangladeshi American professor, Professor Ali Riaz from Illinois State University. There has been a tremendous amount of reverse brain drain, although it's very early at this point, that is showing hope for the rest of us as well. There is a tremendous amount of opportunity where the diaspora can provide not just guidance but also connectivity and trade and so many other ways we can help. So it's an excellent question and something we will bring up
Abhi,
again and again.
I think,
Yeah.
you know what, if you don't mind, let's just take 2 minutes of our time and then we can go, I think maybe two more questions for Sohail and then call it a day.
Yeah, I need
So,
to go actually. I'm
yeah,
stuck at my
All
work.
right.
So.
if
So,
you give us 5 minutes more, Sohail, and I just
right.
wanted to say something real quick. So, Kappa, you raised a good question. I mean, our little community here in X is actually, we are all actually expats here, right? And we are all trying to do our bit. And the space podcast that we're doing here is just a small fraction of the activities we are trying to do or will be doing. So, in fact, there's a petition out that we're doing, and there's the two things actually. Abir, if you could just take 2 minutes and discuss that, or do you want to do that after Swell leaves? What would you prefer?
No, I would love to do it here while Sohel is here. So very quickly, I know, Kaptan, you're also facing some of the similar things. There is an entire industrial scale misinformation campaign, which is multimodal. For instance, in San Francisco right now, there are giant billboards that call Dr. Yunus a dictator, a Hindu genocider, a hate monger. There were planes flying across New York skyline, across Manhattan, that had a distorted photo of Dr. Yunus with blood gushing out from his lips as a murderer. You know, these are such extreme measures being implemented to change the narrative about Bangladesh, to take control over our story. Like, historically, we've always been a syncretic culture where all Bangladeshis have rights that are established on the constitution, but also culturally. The next phase of this misinformation campaign is resolutions that are being planned for across the country. So right now, the first one we are looking at is a resolution from New Hampshire, which is specifically calling out Bangladesh and the interim government as perpetrators of genocide. These are such extreme words. So in this point of time, we are asking everyone to come help us, to come tell the truth, because sunlight disinfects all, right? So the petition that we have ongoing is going to reach out to US congressmen, US senators, also state level representatives, so that we can preempt, tell them the story of Bangladesh beforehand. This is not true. There is no Hindu genocide going on in Bangladesh. Yes, we are in a post-colonial chaotic period, so there is instability. There's a lot of work we need to do, but to claim that there is an ongoing Hindu genocide, that we are trying to cleanse Bangladesh of all Hindus, that is such an extreme position. So once again, I'm going to request all of you, please, the petition is here, and we will send that out as well. Please take a look at it. It contains evidence that supports our story that no, Bangladesh is a syncretic culture where Hindus, Muslims, Christians, we're all united in our dream for Bangladesh. So that's my only 2 minutes
So,
on the
Sohail,
soapbox.
right.
Yeah.
So, Sohail, we are trying basically our actual work. The what we're doing in space is trying to be a lightning rod and pull people together, and then and then the actual work is going to be actually fighting in the U.S. against these petitions, against these we have to take countermeasures. So we are actually working on that. We have some lawyers with us. We have people. Well, we don't have too many people in New Hampshire to, do cold calling and stuff like that, but we are also looking for people, Bangladeshi expats who would call their, representatives and send letters. So as many people can, contact us, we'll help them out. We have the letters ready, even what they need to say. We have prepared speeches, so just we need people to reach out to us. So I'm also letting you know, if you can help us, then please do.
Okay,
There's a lot
I'll
of
do my level best, of course.
Okay. So,
I had
how?
a question.
Yeah.
My name is Omran Chowdhury. I'm a lawyer, historian, and columnist. So my question is related to the. I know you're not. I know Mr. Taj is not active. Is not an active politician anymore. But uh, my question is related to the future of Awami League. As in, do you think there should be an effort to say that Sheikh Hasina should resign, the entire leadership should resign, because no one has actually said that. The only people who have been reported to have talked about leadership changes, these are very controversial people like Shomrat and Kokon and Mahbubul Hanif, or whatever his name is. These people have a very controversial past, and apparently they're calling for reforms in Awami League. So when corrupt and human rights abusing people are calling for reforms, that puts a big question mark. So are you going to call for Sheikh Hasina to step aside from her post? Because she's facing a trial now. Are we going to hear more of that kind of politics in the future?
Yeah, I mean, it's so unfortunate that a political party with such legacy, right, and such history has come to a point that it has to worry about its own existence. I mean, it's such a shame that Sheikh Hasina has brought this party to this place. I mean, this is something that we could never have imagined. Look, my family has contributed for this country. My father gave his life. I deeply feel for the welfare of Bangladesh, right? My father was a patriot. My mother was a patriot. I feel that I'm a patriot. I love my Bangladesh, right? So we all want the best for Bangladesh. But this party, I mean, today to see it in this despicable condition, and no one has the backbone to stand up and say enough is another tragedy. I'm shocked right now. I'm shocked. I'm at a loss for words. I don't know how to explain this. That what happened to people's conscience? Doesn't anyone in Awami League have a conscience? There are many good people. Why aren't they speaking out? It's mind-boggling for me. I cannot understand it. I cannot believe it. I mean, how they have brought themselves to such a place that no one has the spine to stand up and speak out. So what the future of Awami League will be determined by Awami League. I don't know what they want. I don't have the capacity to understand and the mind of psychopaths. So I don't know. So I surrender on that. But I would have suggestions that someone needs to step out. Awami League responsible people need to step out and say enough is enough. Awami League is not the property of a family. It's not the property of one single person. Awami League is the product of the people of Bangladesh. So we need to take Awami League back. I would hope and suggest someone come out and say that and free Awami League from the clutches of destruction and the clutches of a monster. Okay, so that's all I have to say about that.
Thank you,
Thank
Sohel.
you, Solbhai. That's beautifully said. I know you're running out of time. One last question, and then we'll go to Kawsar Bhai. So I know Ami Bangladeshi has been waiting for a long time. Thank you for your patience.
I
But
think
if you
after
could kindly make it quick, and then we'll go back to Kawsar Bhai.
Yeah,
Please go
sure.
ahead, Ami Bangladeshi.
Thank you so much for the space, guys. Shabak Assalamu alaikum. Sohel Taj, thanks for joining and listening to us and answering all the questions. Thank you so much for that. I have 3 questions for you. I'm not going to take much of your time. Could you elaborate on those secret 7-point agreement between Mr. Tajuddin and Prime Minister Indira Gandhi during the Mujibnagar government, and later on those 7 treaty was modified and it was called the Friendship Cooperation and Peace Treaty between India and Bangladesh during the Indira Gandhi's visit in March 1972. And I have another question. My second question is your sister's role, Simin Hossain Rumi's role during, because she was a sitting MP of the previous regime. And also, I have third question, which is your remarks from 23rd January 2016, where you call Pradhan Mantri a Mamata Moi Pradhan Mantri. So if you could clarify on that as well. These are the 3 questions. Thank you so much.
Mamata Moi Pradhan Mantri, I don't remember saying that. I could have sarcastically quoted someone, but I don't think I have said that. The second part is my sister. My sister is her own person. She's an adult. She can choose to do whatever she wants. I told you from the very beginning, I am not I do not believe in family politics. But since she is a family member, I did ask her to resign from this position. I did ask her not to even contest in the last election. There are some realities that the general public are not aware of. There are internal dynamics that take place. But as far as I'm concerned, I did ask her not to participate in the 24 elections on principle. And when the July-August atrocities began, I did have conversations with her. I asked her to protest. I asked her to resign. What she did, what decisions she made is her responsibility. This I'm not going to answer for her. Okay. So about the 7-point agreement, this is absolutely rubbish. There was no 7-point agreement. This is absolute rubbish. So there was no 7-point agreement. This is something that was manufactured and this was propagated. We are going to publish a book on this, with giving evidence that this was a complete lie. So that's what I have to say about the 7-point agreement.
Would that be contradictory with the legacy of blood? What Anthony Mascaron was stated. I mean, regarding those 7-point agreement with Tajuddin Ahmed and all. How would you tackle that? I mean, how would your book tackle those facts? Sorry.
Well, I will have to look into what reference sources Anthony Mascaron has used, and we will refute that. Yes.
Okay,
So
I think that's it
Thank you.
for the
Thank you so
questions. We
much.
are
okay.
going to go back to Kawsar bhai.
Yeah,
So,
I just
go ahead,
just one
please.
clarification though, Soel, for that last question. So the book is your eldest Borapa is going to write that, or am I wrong
Yes.
on that?
Yes. Yes.
I
It's
just
going
want.
to be. It's going to be a compilation of myths and false information that's been propagated, and it will challenge each of them with facts and
So
reference. Yes.
no, excellent. So I would like to let the listeners also know that Soel's eldest sister Borapa has done extensive research
Tamrin Ahmed.
of
Yes.
extensive research. She's written many books, and you should watch some of her YouTube interviews. The last couple ones just blew my mind, so I will repeat: just go watch her YouTube interviews or read her books. So, Soel, thank you so much for coming to the show today. I think we took more than 2 hours of your time, nearly 2.5 hours,
Well, time
and
flies when you're having fun, right?
right, right. So hopefully in the near future we can ask you again if there's some incident or something that happens. Maybe it'll be something shorter, but we'll want to listen to your point of view. Something like that.
And
Yeah.
just one point, there are hundreds of other questions that we were not able to get to, so I apologize to all of our listeners. But again, Sohail Bhai just said he will be back, so hopefully we'll get another opportunity. Once again, Sohail Bhai, thank you so much for making time for us. I know it's late in Bangladesh. And everyone listening, please look at the petition, right?
Please.
There is a purpose which we can be united. Lies against Bangladesh, that's something we can all be united on. Doesn't matter your Awami League, BMP, Jamaat, you can be anyone, but on the question of Bangladesh, on fighting the lies that are being orchestrated specifically to change the narrative about Bangladesh, that's something we all have to be united. And for that, I'm going to request, please come to X. This is a global platform. This is the only space where we get to interact with the entire diverse population. One last question. I'm sorry about this, Suhalbhai. Trish is here. She has been waiting for a while. Trish, if you make it really quick, we'll close it out.
Yeah, so just closing on adding an announcement that's similar to Abir's, look at the petition, sign the petition, share the petition. Please, please, please. We are also looking for people who will volunteer to send emails to designated New Hampshire state representatives to share your concerns regarding the NH Resolution 11 that is currently under review by committee in the New Hampshire State Legislature. We're looking for volunteers. We have all the content prepped. We need you to press send on email. So please reach out, and we will share all the content with you. And with that, thanks everyone.
Thank you, Trish.
All right.
So we can,
Can I
yeah.
say my goodbyes to all of you? Thank you, all the listeners, for staying with us, and thank you to the host, co-host, and the moderators for having me on this platform. So hopefully we'll all meet up again, and I wish everyone all the best. Take care. See you again soon. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye, bye, Sohel.
Bye.
Take
Bye,
care.
everyone. Thank you.